Overconsumption, underconsumption, minimalism, maximalism, huge PR hauls, project panning. All two sides of the same coin. In previous trend cycles, minimalism was considered for, like, rich people. Like, there's this dichotomy that, like, if a rich person does it, it's a trend and it's lovely and it's great. But if anyone of like a lower socioeconomic class does it, then it's trashy. Minimalism is one of those things. If you're rich, minimalism is a trend. If you're poor, you just can't afford to buy anything. PR hauls and project pans and everything like that were kind of seen as for like influencers or for YouTubers or for the Instagram girlies. It's not necessarily for that, but it's kind of the way that it was seen by the majority of people consuming the content. But just about anybody can under or over consume, right? That's what today's Chatty Get Ready With Me is going to be about. Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I felt like just doing like a chatty get ready with me. I saw underconsumption trending on TikTok and on YouTube, and I watched a bunch of videos about it, and I did some research, and I have some notes together, so I thought it'd be fun to talk through this new trend, which is basically a repackaging of, you know, what we've already seen before. But I had a bit of a epiphany when I was doing the research for this, and I wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys today. So I'll do my best to talk through the products. I don't have anything new. I'm on a no-buy, and that's another thing. I thought this was really interesting to see while I was on a no-buy, because basically this underconsumption trend has a bunch of TikTok people going on their first no-buy. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like kind of my recent go-to favorite makeup. I've got the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless in shade 105. I've noticed actually shade 102 is a better shade match for me because it does oxidize just a teeny little bit. For primer, I already put on the Tatcha Liquid Silk Canvas, and I let that sink into my skin for like a good 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna go right in. I don't even know what I want to do with my eyes yet. We're gonna figure it out as we go. So I think we're gonna do the forehead and everything first, and then I'll figure out what the heck we're gonna do for my eyes. So anyway, yes, I was just scrolling on YouTube, and the way I get TikTok trends now is by YouTube people reporting on TikTok trends, and I saw a bunch of videos about the underconsumption trend, specifically when it came to beauty. And the trend was basically people showing off all of their, like, small makeup collections and, like, well-loved panned beauty products. Not to say that this was only a beauty trend. Like most things on TikTok, it started in like one sphere and then like slowly kind of expanded to like every single sphere on TikTok. But of course, since this is a beauty and makeup channel, we're going to focus on the beauty and makeup of it all. So of course, with trends, they always swing back and forth. Whatever was in vogue 20, 30 years ago fell out of fashion. Ultimately, just about everything comes back in style. But what we're seeing now is because of TikTok, these trend cycles have been getting insanely short. Like, I think we saw microtrends happening for the first time a few years ago, like right after COVID started, and trends would last, instead of it being like months, seasons, or years, trends would last literally weeks, which is insane to think about. I'm just going to take a little bit of the shade Tempting from my Too Faced Sweet Peach palette and just touch up my eyebrows a little bit. So we've got micro trends happening super duper fast. We have the rise of Shein and TikTok Shop and everything that allows you to buy really cheap products pretty quickly. And there's just so much happening all at once, and the trends are moving faster and faster and faster. So by the time I get this video up, underconsumption is probably no longer going to be trending anymore, which is ridiculous to think about it. But what I wanted to speak about specifically was just my, I guess, surprise, which shouldn't be a surprise, that this trend is swinging back again, because I remember when TikTok first popped off, it was just like overconsumption, like insane. Like, I don't even know how to express how insane the restocks, like, videos were, and all of the, like, I'm not just to throw in, like, some examples here, because just the insane amount of overconsumption that was happening on that app, it puts 2016 beauty guru PR hauls to absolute shame. Okay, so for my eyes, I don't know what I want to do. What should I do? I got a couple videos to film today, but it's not a work day, so I can kind of go, you know what, I'm feeling going green. So I've got the Natasha Denona Chromium Liquid Shadow in Scarab. I'm gonna mix it with some of the green shades from the Sweet Peach palette. So like we mentioned, trends are going super, super fast. They're coming and they're going, and ultimately, it was only a matter of time before the trend cycle of TikTok swung from the mass overconsumption, buy, into the opposite side, the Project Pans, the underconsumption, which my first thought when I heard underconsumption was that's a misnomer completely, because it's not underconsumption. It's just consumption, which makes it sound like tuberculosis to me. But like most TikTok trends, people take it to the extreme. So you've got the extreme overconsumption on one side, the extreme underconsumption on the other side, to the point where like people were just like, I really hope it was just for the video, but people are throwing out so many of like their things just to now have the underconsumption closet and the underconsumption this or that, or just for the video. But like I'm hoping they just threw shit in storage and then they're just doing this for the video. But what some influencers are doing, and some just people on TikTok, are romanticizing kind of the everyday middle class, lower middle class just experience. It's like we use up an entire product. We cut the tubes open to get what's left of the product out of the container. We don't buy 30 scrubs at the same time, which is insane to think that there's like a whole generation of like kids, teenagers that have grown up with TikTok as their main like social media platform. So this is legitimately their first exposure to a like maybe a lifestyle or a trend or a way of thinking that isn't just mass consumerism, click, quick, buy this thing, it's like from an influencer, blah blah blah, which is insane for me to think about, quite frankly. Like I'm child free, I'm not gonna have any kids, I don't know anyone in my life that's that young, and I'm grateful that I don't. Because it's honestly, thinking about growing up in this day and age like scares the shit out of me, quite frankly. I kind of went off on a tangent right there, but let's try to meander our way back to the point. Is that I thought the word underconsumption sounded kind of stupid because it still showed consumption. I guess it just wasn't what TikTok was showing. Like the fact, I'm not expressing this correctly. Essentially, the way influencers and people on TikTok were portraying their lives was as if the overconsumption was normal. So the fact that now people are showing off, like, I've had the same hair straightener for 10 years, or I use things until they break, and then I use them a little more, and then I buy more. Like, it's the first time they're seeing that kind of content shown on social media, since social media is supposed to be this, like, highlight reel of your life. And so the fact that this is coming into trend on TikTok, for a lot of people, it is their first experience or their first time like consuming that kind of content. So I don't want to rag on it for that, because it is going to be a great way for, some people to get exposed to this kind of stuff. But the other part of me is saying like, they're just co-opting it as a trend. And there's certainly people that are just co-opting it as a trend, and they're only, doing the videos for the trend. And ultimately, once overconsumption becomes trendy again, probably in a few weeks, then they're going to throw all of that out and they're just going to go and they're going to buy more. Or they'll turn into the beauty gurus of YouTube, where they just declutter a bunch of stuff, do a bunch of hauls, declutter a bunch of stuff. And I'm not saying I'm exempt from that. I've been on a no-buy for a little bit while my husband and I are saving up for a move that is upcoming. But I also like enjoy purchasing. I enjoy shopping, and I also enjoy decluttering. So I'm not exempt from the, process at all. But I don't portray myself as a minimalist, and I don't portray myself as someone who like has, I don't know, I'm just trying to say, like, I do my best to be me, and I'm not trying to fit myself into an aesthetic box that it feels like so many TikTok aesthetics are trying to be. So eye look came out super cute. So what I'm gonna do is clean up the edges, and then we'll go in with the rest of the face. So I'm looking at my notes. I went so far off topic from where I thought this video was gonna go, but we still got some things to talk about. So why now? Why is underconsumption trending now? And my first note here is the economy. I don't know if you've seen the economy lately, but inflation's crazy. Groceries, everything is more expensive now. We're in back to school time. Like, when I'm filming this, it is like the second week of August. I don't know if I'm gonna be filming this the same day that it goes up, but like, we're getting close to back to school. People have to travel, people have to like go to dorms, people have to like buy school supplies, and so this is kind of the time of year where people are probably more so budget conscious than the rest of the year. So to me, it makes sense that like now is the time when, especially among younger people, like underconsumption is gonna be trending. And this look came out So pretty. They're not completely even, but that's fine. So let me read through a few comments that I found on a couple of the videos that I was watching for research on this topic. And I'll have all those videos included in the description box down below if you want to check them out from some great creators that I follow in the commentary sphere. So my favorite comment was, "Oh great, now my regular life is being glamorized by social media influencers." And that just made me chuckle because it's true. This ties back to what I said towards the beginning of the video, but this comment says, "The minimalism trend was all about investing in timeless pieces, which meant buying everything sustainable, expensive, and often unaffordable to regular people. Now the pendulum is swinging back, and people are showing off broken electronics and glassware. I think we need a happy middle. Mend what you can, but don't use something potentially dangerous. Buy secondhand when you can. Use things up before buying something new, but be mindful of best use dates." And that's what I said, kind of like about me. The average person isn't going to be, too far to the extremes. We're all probably going to be somewhere in the middle. And I think it's just finding that happy middle where you're the most comfortable. And like, we need to stop comparing ourselves to everyone else on social media, because so much of social media now is just a gigantic ad. And it's strayed so far from what social media was created for in the first place. It's so corporatized and everything now. And ultimately, even the underconsumption, trend is eventually going to get co-opted by influencers to sell you more stuff, which is what happened to the de-influencing trend. Remember that a few months ago? De-influencing became popular, but then eventually it became into buy this, not that. So it wasn't truly de-influencing you, it was just another term that popped up that people were using to sell you more stuff. Alright, next for bronzer, I'm going to go in with this little mini free sample of the De-Bronzy drops from Drunk Elephant. And now that I know how to use these, I love them. It's one of the most natural looking bronzes I've ever gotten. So I'll squirt a little bit on the back of my hand and I will mix it in like this. Let it warm up just a little bit. Wipe the excess off from my finger on a towel, because if I try to dip my brush into the product and it's in a glob and it's not spread out like this, it will not apply evenly and it'll look splotchy. So spread it out like this, go in with your brush, get that evenly coated, and then go in where you would like to apply it. And it just looks so, the tone is so surprisingly natural looking. Even on my pale ass complexion, it looks so pretty. And then I'll just tap it out. Throw a little bit under my chin. And I've been using that little sample size for weeks now, because you really need half a drop to do your full face. And then after that, I'll just go in with my sponge and do a little bit of blending. Get it up into the hairline. Also, I just got out of the shower not too long ago, so that's why my hair is still all frizzy and curly. I am gonna go do my hair before I film my next video. But there we go. See how natural and pretty that looks? I'm actually probably gonna buy a full size of this after my no buy is done, because this is almost gone. And I'm just so impressed. I haven't found such a natural looking, liquid or cream bronzer. This reminds me a lot of the Milani Baked bronzer, because that is the most neutral, natural looking, fresh powder bronzer I've ever used. This reminds me of that a ton, but it's a liquid. Alright, and for blush, I'm going to be mixing two of my favorites. These are the e.l.f. Liquid Camo Concealers. Liquid Camo blushes. This one is getting a little messy. I gotta clean the stopper area, but I love mixing these shades because they look so pretty. So I'm going to mix the shades. I think this is Peachy. So what I'll do is I'll take a little drop like this, put the lighter one towards the apple of my cheek, and then I'm going to take this coral shade next, do a little drop just like that, and then I like to mix them with my brush, and it creates such a pretty shade together. And I haven't put on my concealer yet, so I'm not worried about getting this too close to my eye, because I'll clean that up a little bit with concealer, but look how pretty that blends out. I've just been loving mixing blushes, specifically, or especially, these e.l.f. ones. So while I blend this out, let's look at another couple of comments. Still wild that normal, just having one or two of things, is now under consumption because people are so used to seeing wild excess. So true. And again, back to what I said earlier, that there's like a whole generation of kids who have only seen this as like their main social media. I can't even imagine. So many of these habits aren't really minimalism. They're just how your parents, grandparents lived because they came up before insane online marketing. And this was specifically in relation to like people showing off like their Tupperware. Like if you get a glass bottle and it has coffee in it or something, then you save that glass bottle and use it for something else. Like in our kitchen, I'll throw in some pictures here. Cafe Butelo. I keep those glass jars and I put my spices in them. And I like reuse the Tupperware from certain like meat. There's like deli meat that has a really good Tupperware container that I love. It's like the perfect size for like meal prepping. I save those and I use those. And so like stuff like that was specifically what that comment was referring to. And then another of my favorite comments, underconsumption is what we call it now. I guess living within your means doesn't have a nice ring to it, which is where we come to my kind of epiphany that I had with this and why people keep coming up with like these stupid names. I'm gonna call them stupid. Keep coming up with stupid names for these micro trends. You know what? I'm gonna try this today. So the Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer. So many people love it, and it just doesn't seem to work well for me. But also the lightest shade is still too dark for me. So I'm gonna try lightening up it with a little bit of a white lightener and see how that works under my eyes. All right, so I have a palette. I have the LA Girl White Pro Mixer, which is my favorite white mixer. And then I'm just going to mix a little bit of the concealer. It's a little hard to get it out. I might have put too much white on the palette. Or I might just pull the stopper out of this. Let's try mixing this up. Okay, it's a little too light, but I think we can get it to work. I might mix just a little bit of the original shade back in, because I think we did a little too late. Ooh, the sponge to the rescue. Looks a lot better. Alright. And today for me is just a filming day, so I don't really need to powder down, but I'm just gonna powder like my chin and my nose so I don't look too shiny. So anyway, the epiphany that I had was that the reason everyone needs to come up with these like new names for these microtrends is A, so they can make their mark. Like, I don't, honestly, gun to my head, I could not tell you the creator of any of these microtrends, but I do think that is a way for someone to get their social media like platform off the ground, is to coin one of these terms. But the bigger reason is because of the way TikTok is built as a platform. If you've never been on TikTok, it's actually like pretty hard to search for hashtags. Once you search, it's kind of like if you've ever used Outlook to like search for an email that you're looking for and then like nothing really comes up. That's kind of how TikTok search is. Once a trend or a hashtag has gotten like viral and everyone starts jumping on it, it is very difficult to like refine a search past a single hashtag. So the original people who might have been looking into de-influencing as a hashtag at first, eventually that whole hashtag became overcome with all the influencers instead telling you buy this, not that. So that if you searched for de-influencing, that's all you saw. And this is where I put in my notes, it's not a bug, it's a feature. So TikTok does this on purpose, obviously. So the only way, like if you are looking for that original content or you're putting that content out, the only way to make sure that your content can still be like searchable and findable, because you can't necessarily do SEO because TikTok doesn't necessarily have a full search engine. It's just basically it's a hashtag search. Anyway, I had this epiphany that the only way that they could keep their content relevant and make it so that people could still find what they're looking for is to come up with a new name every few weeks for it. First it was de-influencing. Now it's underconsumption. A few months ago, it was, minimalism. There's always going to be a new term for a new hashtag so that it can be searched. You can find it. People who are legitimately drawn to those concepts are going to find the videos at first before it becomes overrun. Then it'll go viral. It'll get overrun by everyone else, and they'll move on to the next one. It's not a bug. It's a feature. And it keeps people on TikTok, and it keeps people scrolling. That's the whole purpose. So I had that epiphany and I was like, that totally makes sense. It totally makes sense. Like, I find it super annoying that there's always a new term for something every few weeks, but like, legitimately, they have to. Like, that's the only way to stay relevant on the platform as it is built currently. And I ended my notes with, it's just how the TikTok platform works, and I hate it. And I do. I really don't. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. What did make my heart really happy, though, is I saw some people in the comments section on TikTok under these underconsumption videos, and my assumption was they were younger people. Like, they could have been anybody, but they were like, oh, I love this kind of content. Where could I find more? And people were recommending Project Pan to them, saying, if you haven't heard of it, Project Pan is essentially just this, using up what you have, loving what you're using. It's a whole project. And so there's a whole wave of people finding Project Pans. And the good thing is, if they can move over to YouTube, or if YouTube can find its way onto, if YouTube content can find its way onto TikTok, then it's really an entire just like archive of a bunch of great Project Pan content that is just waiting there for them to binge through. And that makes me excited. If this trend and whatever micro trend comes after can help legitimately help some people legitimately connect with content that makes them feel more like at home, the same way it helped me, the same way I felt when I first found this content back in like 2014, 2015, I think it would have been worth it. Because I think today, and with all the crazy, like everything going viral, overconsumption and everything, it can be difficult to find like something you truly, like on a personal level, connect with. You know, not in a parasocial way, just in like a human way. And I'm hoping that, you know, some people, if they really truly do connect with the underconsumption core as it is now being known, I hope that they can find their way over to the Project Pans, you know, years worth of content that has been built up and left behind by so many great people on this platform, the same people that inspired me. And I hope, you know, not in like a selfish way that I hope I get more views, but I hope that my content can help people feel the way that I did when I first found the beauty community. Because the community is still there. I know everyone likes to say the beauty community is dead, the beauty community has changed. The community is still there. We're still here. We're just not buying your shit anymore. Alright, I want the specific highlighter palette because I know I have a light green in it. That's going to look so pretty. Alright, ABH Moonchild kit. This thing is so old, but the shade Lucky Clover is going to look amazing. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Ha ha ha. That looks so pretty. I love it. Okay, so now, did I do that? I did that. I did that. I am gonna soak my face in setting spray because I feel like a raisin. For mascara, I'm gonna use the Essence Lash Princess in Brown. Alright, and this is the final look. Well, final makeup look. I haven't done my hair yet. I'm just gonna do that off camera before my next video, before this poofs up any larger. So I hope this kind of rant made sense. I had notes and I had an outline and I kind of veered way off it, but I'm very curious to hear what you think. What do you think of these micro trends? What do you think of underconsumption as a topic, as a concept? Let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.